Welcome back to the MMA Plug, presented to you by the Talk of Colorado on 98.1 FM, Mile High Sports Radio. I'm your host, Jordan Kurtz. You can give me a follow along online at Comments from the Peanut Gallery, sitting next to the UFC middleweight, the Big Yins, Josh Friend. Give him a follow at Josh Friend MMA. If you are watching along online, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications so you do not miss a drop.
Hey, Kurtzy, speaking of drops, I want to drop some knowledge on you right now.
Hit 'em.
Hey, this is completely off script. We didn't even plan this. I just wanted to get my personal opinion on Jaywalkers apparel and their pants. Now, I normally have a very hard time finding pants. I'm tall, I'm skinny, I'm always doing dumb stuff, like kick in the air, shadow boxing. So, I normally go ahead to, Aeropostale or something and get the Airflex athletic jeans, all right? So, I'm an athletic guy. I like to go out and be free. I don't want to feel like I have these tight chinos on that are restricting me from doing stuff, because you never know. I might just go do some parkour. Now, parkour. Now, with these pants, it's honestly so comfortable. And this is no BS. I'm being straight up honest with you. It's just comfortable. If you're an athletic person, if you have an athletic build, even if you don't have an athletic build, but you like being free and you also like being stylish, that's one thing people know me for, is how I dress. So I can't give up the style for the comfort. That's always the hardest part. I always hear girls say, oh, you can't be comfortable if you want to look good. Nah, you're wrong, because I look good and I'm comfortable. With Jaywalkers apparel, with these pants, dude, I can do anything. So guys, go to jaywalkersapparel.com. Juicy Booty. Let me say it one more time. We're only going to give this code away because you can only get it here on this show today. Juicy Booty. You get 20% off. 20% off. Not that little 10, a little 10, 20.
20%, you really can't beat it. And guys, go check out our little demonstration of this fabric. There is so much room for activities.
So many rooms.
Now, moving along, we had our traditional Face the Pain song coming in for what is normally our UFC breakdown segment. However, Josh, there is no UFC this weekend.
There is no UFC this weekend.
This is one of the few weekends of the entire year that we do not have the UFC. However, we are faced with a treat that is going to be the first of its kind. We have one championship on Amazon PrimeVideo 1. This is going to be, obviously by the namesake, the first show on that platform. Now, I do have to say, Josh, that it's going to be an interesting card. There's going to be some wild matchups, and some of the faces that we've really kind of seen be the forefront of who they're marketing to the American crowd, if you will, on the one side of things. Now, what do you think as we take a look at this main event matchup here?
Well, just like earlier when we said, GOATs getting decrowned, we saw Demetrius Johnson go over to one championship and lose. You would never imagine that happening. So when we have a rematch of Adriano Moraes and Demetrius Johnson in a bantamweight title fight. Now, this is huge. I think this is huge for their bantamweight title, their bantamweight division, and Demetrius Johnson, because for everyone to understand that one championship has a huge following and they have a ton of talent over there in one championship. For Adriano to go out and beat one of the considered all-time greats pound for pound, that's no slight feat.
No, certainly not. And this is an opportunity for Mighty Mouse to reclaim that title after he lost to Moraes when he hit him with that knee while they were down on the ground. Now, guys who aren't familiar, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with one championship and their rule set, they do allow 4 knees to a grounded opponent to the head. So that was a perfectly legal technique, and that was what sparked the conversation in MMA circles all around the world of, should this be a technique that is adopted worldwide? And then you also had the people saying that, oh no, for the reason, the devastating trauma that it produced is the reason why it shouldn't be. There's going to be arguments on each side of it. Personally, I like it. I think they should have them in, but that's neither here nor there.
We don't get to make the rules.
Yeah, we don't get to make the rules. We're just a couple of knuckle draggers who talk about it over here.
Yeah.
That being said, Josh, in this rematch, I think that we are still, it's Father Time is undefeated also. So when does DJ finally start to slow down overall? And also in terms of because he did bounce back and he had that good fight against Rodtang where he goes and
Yeah.
finishes Rodtang. But when we're talking dimensions, Adriano Moraes is just so much bigger and so much longer than Mighty Mouse is.
He is, and that's where I'm kind of leaning towards Adriano in this fight. He's younger, he's faster, he's dynamic, and the only way that I believe my heart will let me believe that Demetrius Johnson is going to lose is because of Father Time. It's not because he's not good, it's not because he didn't eat right, didn't cut right. Nothing of that matter. It's just Father Time is telling him, "Hey, son, you've had your time. But hey, I said Usman was going to win. So
Right.
who cares what I think?
All feelings, no facts. Give me Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, I wish. Give me Mighty Mouse.
That's just purely off of the feeling there. I think that the IQ might do it for him this time. Might use the wrestling a little bit
Yeah,
more
he
instead of
has
trying
been
to mix it
known.
up.
He has been known to, like, even in the fights that obviously the fights that he's won for so long, that he takes little things from those wins, because it's better to learn from a win than it is from a loss.
Certainly.
But that was such a devastating way to lose, and especially when you're not used to that type of attack from that position. I wholeheartedly believe that Mighty Mouse went back to the drawing board and he fixed that, and we might see him implement some things that we weren't used to.
Totally. Totally. Moving along to the co-main event, we have Nong O taking on Liam Harrison in a 135-pound Muay Thai title fight. Now, just as we mentioned, this is part of the reason why some of these one cards as of late are so cool is because they bring different specialist arts that are at the highest level all together on one card. There's no grappling match like we've seen in some of them in the past, where you have some of the top grapplers just in submission grappling, in addition to the Muay Thai and the MMA on the cards. But still, this is a great matchup to be able to see for a title that will set the table for that same weight MMA title fight going right thereafter. Now, I'll be completely honest. As far as the Muay Thai circle itself, I don't have the greatest depth of research on the two of these guys, but from a spectator standpoint, I'm here for the hostilities.
100%. And just something that I wanted to bring up about one championship and the way they do these cool different types of fights. Kurtzy, did you know that one championship ranks number 2 from the 2021 viewership from the Nielsen report, with coming in at 13.8 billion views across Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all of that? This is something that Gordon Ryan mentioned one day. And if you go and do research, the only sports league that's doing better numbers is the NBA.
I feel like there's sometimes when you take a look at some of those statistics that you can manipulate them to tell a narrative however you want, but I understand what you're
100%.
getting at.
I agree with you 100%, because me personally, I think the NFL would be number 1, but I'm not, the smart guy.
Well, what I can say because there are conflicting reports out there that it was Combate that was the number 2 last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it just probably depends on where you're sourcing that data, but nonetheless, like if we're talking about an organization that canvasses an entire continent.
Yeah.
So all of that, and they're also plucking a lot of guys from other parts of the world that may not be getting that opportunity on the big stage with someone like, say, the UFC. And one thing that you have to look at too with another matchup that's on this card is you're going to have some former specialists from other arts, but they have a hard time getting a fight anywhere else. They won't be able to find a fight in, say, the LFA or CFFC or someone else. Like your Rugrug, Omar Khan, the guy from the Senegalese wrestler. Certain specialists, like once she finally just starts to take a fight, like someone like a Danielle Kelly, if Gordon Ryan were to ever actually decide to fight, you're going to tell me that some 0-0 other amateur or even just an 0-0 pro, someone in that ballpark, is going to go in there and fight Gordon Ryan? Like, yeah, they'll want to fight him, but is it really something? Is it something that would get licensed? Like
Yeah.
that's also something that has to come into play when you're talking about sanctioning bodies. Just because there's someone out there that's willing to sign the contract doesn't mean that the commission's going to approve the fight either.
I mean, LFA threw someone in there with Poton.
But at the same time, that man had a considerable amount of we're not talking debutantes.
Yeah, true.
You know,
true.
I mean, a comparable situation, and she's still to this day having a hard time finding fights or getting someone to say yes on a frequent basis. Jenna Bishop,
Yeah.
multiple-time world champion in jiu-jitsu, and just has a hard time getting anybody that wants to say yes. And one is trying to give those opportunities for those guys, one of them being Marcus Buchecha Almeida, one of the greatest heavyweight grapplers of our generation in terms of traditional gi jiu-jitsu, one of the most accomplished and decorated guys that there has been, period. And he's going into battle for his 4th pro MMA fight. He's going to look to put his undefeated 100% finish rate on the line against the dangerous Kirill Grushenko. And this guy's coming into the fight with a 4-1 record, including 3 finishes himself. So that's kind of the thing, is you have to have someone who is older, seasoned, maybe another former specialist somewhere else who's kind of making that transition over. I like it for that aspect, Josh.
I do like it for that aspect, and you know, it's just really awesome to see all these specialists get into MMA, because when this whole sport started, that's what it was. It was specialist versus specialist. Hey, what's better, karate or jiu-jitsu? Boxing or wrestling? And it's super cool to see the way that one is taking it upon themselves to make the sport interesting in that way again.
Certainly. And speaking of another high-level specialist, now he teased, or he made the announcement that he wants to transition over to MMA shortly after this fight. But this weekend, Rod Tang is also going to be on the card. Now, if that name doesn't ring a bell to you, it should, folks. That's the kid who hopped in there and fought Mighty Mouse just a couple of months ago in that mixed rules match that alternated rounds with Muay Thai and MMA. So someone like that who is an absolute problem anywhere on the feet wants to make the transition over and is going to have a decent base in terms of he's not a day one guy like some other strikers are going to be, and going over and making that transition. Man, in general, if Rod Tang's on a card, like, that's a dude who is entertaining to watch.
Just Rod Tang.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy you want to watch fight.
Certainly. And as a whole, just have to give the props and give one championship their flowers for continuing to try to press the right button to crack into the stateside MMA market. I think that it's safe to say that their cards that they held on TNT did not produce the end game results that they wanted. Thus, the switch to a new platform in the digital streaming space that they hope can reach an even broader audience. You know, it's one of those things that, for the fighter's sake and for the promotion itself, you hope that they can only get to grow even larger than what they already have, because that means more opportunity and potentially more money for everybody out there.
Completely.
Folks, let us know what you think as far as this card. Hit Josh up on Twitter at JoshFranMMA. Hit me up at Peanut Podcast. Stick around after the break. We're going to be going through some more MMA coverage. This is the MMA Plug, presented to you by the Talk of Colorado on 98.1 FM. All High Sports Radio. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. That helps us continue to produce this original MMA content and bring it for you every single week. Tune in to the MMA Plug presented by DenverSportsBetting.com on 98.1 FM, Mile High Sports Radio on Wednesday nights from 6 to 7 p.m. or live stream at DenverSportsBetting.com/radio.